I just love how.
Hey, everybody! We are back with the final episode of Altered Carbon.
Whoop.
Hey, joining me for the finale is Justin from Kamen Rider Corner, Henshin Hangout.
Yep.
Well, now it's just Henshin Hangout.
Just
right?
Henshin Hangout, yeah.
I got a combo.
Yeah. Combined, fused.
And Sarah Carey from
Gingerdale.
And you were doing something else recently. You were on the horror show a couple of times.
Yeah, the Rocky Horror. Hashtag Horror Picture Show. Yeah. And the old Watchtower, may it rest in peace.
I mean, it's coming back, just differently than it was.
That's what I said, the old Watchtower.
Yeah, the old Watchtower.
May it rest in peace.
The old Watchtower crashed and burned, just like,
just like Altered Carbon?
Maybe. So I'm going to start off with a couple of plugs instead of saving those till the end.
Let's do it.
So that way, for those of you guys who are out there, and if you want to follow us on social media, Sarah, where can we find you on the Twitter?
You can find me at Rogue-tastic, spelled like Rogue the X-Man, not Rouge like Blush.
There is a difference.
There is a difference.
I'm going to call you Justin Quizboy. I don't know why.
It's
Venture Brothers, yeah.
It feels good. I'll take it. I'll take it. You can find me on Twitter at JustinKeysOn, on Instagram at JustinQuiz, and I guess I'll plug my podcast.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right, cool. I got my 2 podcasts. They're both monthly. One is called Benview at Spielberg, where we review every single Spielberg-directed film. We're actually now on his produced stuff. We're in the middle of our Back to the Future episodes.
Oh, nice.
Episodes, because me and my co-host really love Back to the Future. And then also I have a remake podcast called Nothing New, in which we discuss, we watch an original movie and then we watch the current updated remake, and the new one will be on A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be doing that next.
So that movie's coming out next week.
weekend.
Yes.
And the original came out in 1990.
Like 2006.
Well, wasn't there like a 90s movie too?
There was only...
Wait, really? That recent?
Yeah, it was like a really unremarkable Disney Channel. Like Disney... Wonderful World of Disney movie.
Yeah,
that was on TV.
I remember that now.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't in theaters. It was a made-for-TV movie.
Made-for-TV movie, and no one talks about it for a reason. And you'll find out when you listen to that episode.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm Josh. You can find me on the Twitter at the Goldman. I'll also be back here probably. I don't remember when it comes out. Pacific Rim 2, I believe, comes out on the 23rd.
God, it looks so
I saw a
good.
press screening of it the other night, so I'll have a 5 for 5 and a review going up on the website for that sometime in the next couple of weeks, whenever the
I do Movie
embargo
Bobby
drops.
News too. I just thought about that.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, and your Disney stuff.
I was like, oh yeah, I do Movie Bobby News too.
And you're going to see Wrinkle in Time this week, right?
I am on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Nice.
So watch
Excited.
watch out for her thoughts on that movie as well. But we're not talking about happy Disney stuff here.
We are not. We are
Far
going
from it.
dark,
This is
dismal,
a little bit-
sci-fi.
a little bit different. Yeah.
Nakedness.
So every episode I've been asking everyone what they thought.
Yeah.
So just overall, super broad thoughts. What did you think of this show up until where we're at right now?
So, like, we're not even talking about the last two
Yeah,
episodes.
not talking about 9 and 10.
I just don't remember
general.
what happened to the end of 8, so I know what not to
At
talk.
the
They all just kind of blend together after a while.
At the end of 8 was where Ortega had killed all of the naked.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
sisters.
Now I know where I'm at.
Got
Okay.
it. Here's the thing about this show. It's like, I feel like it was easy for me to binge.
Yeah. I found myself, because you were lucky. You didn't have to watch it until this week. Like,
Right.
you could have waited.
Right.
Whereas I've been watching it for the past 5 weeks now, and like I found myself at the end of the episode that I was watching, I was like, I just want to know what happens in the next episode.
Yeah, and I think it's not a case of like, if I be honest, it's not a case of like I was super like, I was like super addicted to what happened next. I was like, well, I mean, the next episode's on, I might as well go to it. And it's funny because I knew I was coming up to this ep, but I also forgot to watch it up until like last Sunday, and I'm like, oh my god, I have 5 episodes to watch. Then it turned out, no wait, I miscounted. That's like 8. I have to watch 8 episodes.
Oh man.
So I did like 4 one night, and it was really easy to go through the show. So like the pacing for me was, okay, I can keep going. And yeah, overall at this point I went, okay, so I got to the end of 8. I went, okay, yeah, all right, I gotta sleep, so I'll finish this tomorrow.
Right.
But yeah, I was able to kind of go through it, and for me the show was like, okay, I can kind of binge through this show. The weird thing is, like, I'm not sure if that really means I think the show's great.
Right, just that it's easy to watch all in one shot.
For me, yeah. At least. Yeah.
I had the absolute complete opposite watching of this show.
What was that? What's going on over there?
Boo me all you want, Daniel. I found this show really painful to get through.
Sorry, there was like a boo drone that flew
so
around.
it's like Daniel Jerome's stand-up routine.
Right, exactly. I found it really tough to get through. I don't think the show earns its really slow, drawn-out pace, and it doesn't earn that really great last 10 minutes that comes in almost every episode.
See, I didn't think it was that slow.
Oh God,
I thought the first 2 episodes were pretty slow because they were just so packed with all the information that they had to give you for the rest of the season. But once we got to episode 3, I was like, okay, now it's actually picking up.
Well, that's what I kept hearing. That I watched the first episode. I was like, "What's going on?" You're like, "No, this is when it gets really good."
Yeah.
And I think it's either the end of 3 or 4 where that shootout happens after he's being tortured.
Right. Yeah, I believe that's the end of 4.
I was like, "Oh, this is the show we're gonna get." Okay, I'm ready, and it true-blooded me. Where I don't know if you remember the first.
Explain that to me. What do you mean it true-blooded you?
The first season of True, I like True Blood, but the first season of True Blood, at least the first 4 to 5 episodes, were really slow, kind of giving you the story, and would end with like, "Oh my gosh, shocking endings! I have to see what happens next." And then there's zero payoff in the next episode to have such a shocking ending. And it
spoiler alert. That's kind of how I felt about the finale of this
whole thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's how I felt about every episode leading up. I was like, we're getting so much exposition, which I understand. There's a lot of story to tell with this.
Yeah.
But like with very little action, with characters I just never ended up caring about. And then ending with a great shootout like that.
Right.
Ending with this episode 7 with the great shootout with the detective and the like all the naked sisters. Right. How cool is that? Then for it to like every episode then opens up like this. For the next 40 minutes.
Well, see,
I'm sitting like this.
I felt the last 2 episodes.
And it's so predictable, and I think that's also a thing that killed me.
I think these last 2 episodes 9 and 10, could have been combined into like an hour and a half. Or even just a full hour long episode.
I think this whole series could have been done in 5 or 6 episodes.
Or
a movie. It would have been better as a movie.
Maybe as a movie. I feel because I don't know how much research you did going into this.
Nothing. I just went in blind like most people.
Sure.
And just watched a show.
So
that's what I tend to do.
I did enough research just to see what the whole thing was about. So I found out enough to know that it's based on a book series. So this first season was based on the first book.
Okay.
So the next book. After this is over, picks up 30 years later.
He's still looking for that girl.
Wow.
So I'm assuming that's what it's about, but I haven't read to see what the next book is about.
I can't say this yet because we're not talking about the finale episode.
Yeah. So
I'll say this other thing about every episode. When I got to the end of every episode, I kept thinking this is a really expensive show.
Yeah.
This show is super expensive. Nothing is cheap in this show.
Netflix anything that Netflix. I mean, you can watch a lot of shitty movies on Netflix. There are so many out there, but the majority of the ones that are there weren't produced by Netflix themselves. They're like what would have been back in the day, straight to DVD movies.
Right.
Now it's just straight to Netflix or straight to Amazon Prime or whatever it is. That's the new thing, which is even cheaper because now they don't have to really pay for distribution. They just send Netflix or Amazon the digital file and
there you go.
So that's the new way that is, because I mean I get press releases like every week about some shitty movie that they want us to do press for.
Right.
I'm kidding. No, don't tell me.
I mean, I'm not gonna put them out there because some of them might be good. They might not actually be shitty, but
go ahead. Yeah.
Anyway, so the ones that Netflix does produce themselves, though, they throw so much money at.
Yeah.
Right.
So much money. Like at the end of last year, outside of this, I do like regular day job work too.
Right, we all do.
Yeah.
And one of my last gigs was working on a cooking show for Netflix, and they spent so much money on this show. Like I walked into the set and I'm just like looking around. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is a cooking show.
Yeah.
They care about the product, that it looks good. That's kind of one of the things, like, even if Netflix puts out something kind of terrible or something great, it's going to be the same quality either way.
Right.
And that's the thing I'm impressed by with the show visually. And
the graphics were great.
The graphics are great. The sets are incredible. The CGI is amazing. The cinematography, just the costuming.
Yeah.
I think I'm mostly blown away by mostly that.
Yeah,
and
just
maybe
the look.
The look just drew me in.
I don't know when the idea for this show came out versus when Legion came out, but I kind of feel like Legion set the bar really high as far as the way a show could look, especially a sci-fi.
Oh yeah, well,
hero supernaturally type show.
Right.
And I feel like this kind of went, that looks great, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sure.
so recently, another thing that Netflix dropped was Duncan Jones' movie Mute.
Right.
Which I watched, and if you guys want to go and check out my 5 for 5 or my full review on the website, you're free to do that. There's another plug. But that was my feelings about that too. Was like it looked fantastic, but I don't like Alexander Skarsgård as an actor. So going back to True Blood again,
I'm like, but I loved him as Eric Northman.
Yeah, I mean he was fine in True Blood, but like I haven't seen him in anything outside of that where I'm like, wow, this guy is really good. And
Eric Northman was like his pinnacle role.
Yeah,
sure.
and in this movie, he just seemed like it was like a boring sci-fi version of Death Wish.
Oh, interesting.
That's a weird thing to think.
Right?
About.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it looked amazing. It looked great. Everyone other than him, I was like, these guys are great. You know, Paul Rudd was fantastic. Justin Theroux was fantastic.
Yeah.
But the movie itself was just kind of meh. Like I can't say that it was a bad movie. It just wasn't wasn't my thing. But it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
And the world building was great. It was just so like this. It's like one of those things. But let's check out the chat for a second. We have Anna Miles and Matthew Thompson who came here from the Ranger wrap up. Welcome. Also, Thomas Franco is in the chat.
Hello.
Anna Miles agrees with you, Sarah, and says that it's definitely a dumping ground.
Netflix as a whole is a dumping ground.
I mean, it's turning into that. It's like turning into that like back section at the Blockbuster where you're like, all right, what's new?
Next year, they're going to have over 700 original TV shows and movies, and they're spending $8 billion.
That's incredible.
So our producer from the back, Magnum, just said that next year they were going to have over 700 original shows, and they're spending $8 billion, which sounds about accurate.
Did you really need to spend some of that billion on Bright 2? I mean, it's not too late. You don't need to make a Bright 2.
I mean, if they're spending $8 billion and they're spending $100 million on that, that's what, like 1%?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's.
I mean, they've come up with some like fun sci-fi stuff. I know, like the OA comes off with a lot.
I haven't watched the OA yet. I've heard that it was really good. I enjoy Travelers. It's not a great show, but like it feels like like those. You like shitty TV shows.
I love shitty TV shows.
Like like
that's why it was the best to watch this, and this was too shitty for even me.
Like wait, if I said a Canadian sci-fi show, do you know what that means?
Maybe.
So like Lost Girl on Sci-Fi Channel or Winona Earp.
Oh, I want to see Winona Earp.
Continuum.
I wanted to watch that. I didn't.
Like so if you go back and you watch like any of these shows that were produced in
Ghost Wars is fun.
Yeah, like any of these like Canadian produced shows that shoot in Canada, they all have a very specific feel to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like Supernatural, and I feel like Winona Earp are very similar in feel.
Yeah, and that's kind of I guess that's kind of what Netflix is turning into. But that's what Travelers is. Travelers is one of those like Canadian style Sci-Fi Channel shows. Eric McCormick is the lead in it.
Oh, then I know what you're talking about.
Not a great show, but it's fun.
Okay.
Like I just finished the newer show that just came out this week called Everything Sucks last night.
I want to see that too.
I liked it. Yeah, it's a decent.
Atypical is fantastic.
I've been wanting to see that.
That's really good. There's another one that it's a British kid.
Frankenstein Chronicles.
No.
I kind of want to watch that, but I'm scared.
Where they're both like, you know what I'm talking about?
One of them's he's a serial killer.
Yeah, he wants to kill.
Oh, Everything Sucks, right? Or no, the end of the whole world. Is that the one?
Oh yeah, End of the Fucking World.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's it. I heard that's great.
Like, I don't like it at all.
Oh, okay.
Like, well, no, I know a lot of people who do. I was watching it again. Like if I don't, a big thing is like I'm gonna put this back to Altered Carbon.
Yeah,
if I don't care enough about your characters, then I don't care about your show. And that's a trope I found with Altered Carbon. That's a thing with like End of the Fucking World. Like I got halfway through to a very pinnacle moment in the whole story, and I was like, I still don't care, and I stopped watching.
That's what I felt like with Mute too. I did not care about Alexander Skarsgård's character. I was more interested in Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux, and the brief 10-second cameo that we got of Sam Rockwell as his character from Moon. I was like, oh fuck! Now I want to know what happened to his character from Moon because now he's on trial for something.
Yeah.
I mean, I did love Moon.
Yeah, Moon was great.
Which is also now available on Netflix.
Yeah.
So no.
And Anna says that Annihilation, I guess, is coming to Netflix too.
But like internationally. Like Yeah. Like,
she's in Jamaica, so that makes sense.
That will make sense. Right. There we go.
Yeah, we don't get that. We don't get that in the States.
Yeah.
Which also means that you probably get Star Trek Discovery on Netflix and not on CBS All Access, which means I hate you because I have to pay for CBS All Access now for that.
Although Mr. Mercedes, that was real good.
Although CBS All Access is getting the Twilight Zone reboot that Jordan Peele's doing, so I am excited for.
Well, at least you're paying for that now, so that's good.
Yeah, so that's good. So let's move back. Let's move back
to Altered Carbon.
But like leading up to this, I don't care. I just don't care about the detective and her obsession with him because he looks like her ex-boyfriend.
Sure.
That was bugging me for a long time too, because I was like, "There's got to be something here. There has to be a reason that she has this hard on for this guy because it doesn't make any sense."
It right before. And then tell me who he is. Again, that was a big buildup.
Yeah.
Why do I matter so much to you? Episode ends. Oh, okay. I look like your ex-boyfriend. Got it. Like that's what?
Yeah. As soon as that happened, I was like, "All right." I get it.
Now I just don't even care about you.
Yeah,
like that's...
it was dumb, but like I understood that they needed to do that because there needed to be a reason for him to be in the body. Like we talked about in the first episode where we were talking about how
why couldn't it just be he was in the body of an old detective because they just swap out sleeves all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have to be her ex-boyfriend?
But then
she's not even a character that matters to the story. You could have killed her off and got rid of the entire character, and the story would have gone on.
But then it comes around back at the in episode 10, we find out why it mattered and why.
I guess I missed it because it still didn't matter to me.
So all right, so we're just gonna jump around. Like I don't
At this
care
point,
about
this is
linear.
the finale. This is what happened.
You've seen it all, so might as well.
Again, spoiler alert, guys.
We're talking about the finale and
like,
the whole season?
Yeah.
Like, if you're watching an after show talk...
Right. We're spending an hour to an hour and a half talking about an episode of a show. There's no way we're not
There's
going
no
to
way around it.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
Not sorry.
Not sorry.
So in episode 10...
Be smarter than that.
At the end of episode 10, where we finally get the, the whole confession and we see what's going on and all that kind of stuff. So, I guess I'll start with the confession. So, Takeshi's sister...
Yeah.
Another character I cared nothing about.
Right. Her entire
the whole show.
Her entire motive for this thing was because this Proposition 457 or whatever it was going to go through, which I don't remember what the actual number was, but what 653
to allow those who were murdered
who had religious no, it was to allow those who were murdered who had religious coding to be spun back up because the neo-Catholics basically had DNR,
right,
where they were not allowed to be spun back up for religious, right, for religious purposes. That's one of the
best scenes. When they put like her grandma or somebody like that.
That's good.
It's great. I was like, can the show be more of this?
Yeah,
this is really fun.
Yeah. No, that one's good stuff.
Well, because I feel like that was the entire theme of the show, and maybe the book. I don't know since I haven't read it. Is that it doesn't matter who you are on the outside. It's like all about who you are as a person. Because
like when
what
the
your
mother
skin
comes
is
and he's
doesn't
in
matter.
like this awkward, terrifying, methed out white dude.
Yeah. I think those are where I feel like the potential of the concept of the show really works best for me.
Yeah.
It's like you have it's kind of a fun showcase for the actors because they have to play them. Like, not only is the actor there to act like, I have to act like a Latina grandma, the rest of the characters have to act like that is your grandma.
Exactly.
You know? Or the scene with the wife.
But also
I cared more about the wife and that whole
Vernon.
character in that one moment than I cared about
like,
anyone else on the show.
So I know you don't want to call people out for bad acting, but the guy who played the guy who was that
the dude from Dollhouse.
The dude. Well, there's the dude from Dollhouse, which he's whatever. But no, the guy who played the convict that the grandmother went into, and the guy who played the sleeve that Ava went into, both of those guys were really good.
Oh, I love
really
I was
good.
Like, that dude's accents are on point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was able to just like switch back and forth from being this, just being the grandmother who's just like happy and like whatever, to being this like, Russian guy. Which I'm not even gonna try to do accents because I always end up sounding like a gay German with a really racist Indian.
When I go like Eastern European.
It's like just goes really
I just sound racist.
His abuela accent was so good that my roommate thought it was ADR.
Really?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was like, no, that was him. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, want me to rewind it? She's like, no, we just got to get through this nonsense. I'm like,
so Proposition 653 was going to allow people who had the religious coding to be spun back up so that they could accuse their murderers.
Right.
Which, as we know now, would have absolutely ruined Ray's business because that's how she got away with this was, these girls were being sucked into being prostitutes and then being allowed to be killed. I think they said essentially live out snuff film fantasies.
Yes,
is what they were doing up there.
Terrifying.
And so when all that shit happened, they decided to set up Riker in order to begin this whole process.
Right.
Yeah. So he was set up, and then Bancroft had his his moral conundrum or whatever, blew out his own stack, and all that shit happened. So it all ties together, just in a very convoluted way.
Right.
It's really convoluted.
Yeah.
It takes a moment. I think you re-explaining it to me right now, and oh yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, that's what happened.
And
but
then
on top of it, her weird obsession with her brother.
Right. Yeah. That was weird. Like when she got out of the tub when she was in Ortega's body.
Yeah.
I was like, that's your sister.
There's a
She's naked in front of you.
But he's just like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Like, he's already seen her naked.
Right. But that's
But then it becomes your sister.
But then it becomes awkward.
There's a kind of a trope that's going around with like a lot of like movies and TV shows for me that I'm starting to get a little exhausted by, which is
all the naked ladies.
That's a separate trope that I will get to as well as a tiresome idea.
Like, if you're gonna give me this many naked women, can I get some naked men?
You got one finale.
But I mean, like, you get like, let's go with a percentage. Right?
Oh no,
say if it's like 100% naked ladies, it's like 3% naked.
Oh no, 100%. So I'm gonna 100% on that opinion. Yes, I agree.
I'm gonna ask you the same thing that I asked. I believe it was Tony when she was on the show. Would you rather look at a naked woman or a naked dick?
For sake of argument and that.
No, not for the sake of argument.
Why don't I just say I don't want to look at any of it?
Well, you can say that. But given the choice, would you rather look at a naked woman or a naked dude?
I just don't want to look at any of it. But however, if I have
if you have to choose.
Well, I like men, so give me a naked man.
All right. That's an acceptable answer. But I find just through conversation that I have with people that most women would rather look at a naked woman than a naked guy.
Well, women's bodies are very lovely, and I get that. But at the same time, I think it's such a ridiculous thing that we have such a line of we can show a full-on naked woman, and we can barely show a man's butt crack. And
I completely agree. I just
think that what I mean.
Okay, since we're in the conversation, I agree because between Game of Thrones, Westworld, and this, an abundance of nudity on
head to toe. Yeah, we're not just talking boobs.
Yeah, actually, to the point where it's I'm watching this. My roommate comes in and he thinks I'm watching Westworld.
Right.
Because he's seeing a lot of similar oh, is this Westworld? Because clearly I'm seeing the type of stuff I see in Westworld.
Right.
Now it's the other sci-fi movie with a lot of nudity from women. So,
but also kind of a similar plotline because now with the synths and the AIs, they can put whatever into whatever body.
Right.
Right. But actually, no, the other the trope I was actually going to attack a little bit is something I've been seeing in a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies is the idea of the angry relative.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
as the villain.
Oh my god.
And I'm kind of over it.
So over it.
Even a movie I loved, which is Black Panther, loved it, had that as well. But something season, Luke Cage had that same thing.
See, I haven't finished Luke Cage.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for spoiling that.
You should have seen it.
So we were talking about spoilers earlier. So, just going back to spoilers for a second. Tony said,
people are.
Let me go back up.
Accurate. I will second that.
Stupidly convoluted. She watched the series twice and it still didn't make any sense.
How did you get through it twice?
And it's the Not Another Teen Movie thing where she wants to fuck her brother.
Yeah. It's God, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tony says that she said it depends on how good looking the people are.
Yeah, I'll second that too. But
I guess that comes down to would you rather look at an ugly naked woman or an ugly naked guy?
I'd rather look at an ugly naked dude than a very saggy lady.
That's also an acceptable answer.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying, we're so
hey Ryan,
desensitized to seeing all these naked women that as soon as you even see the top of a penis, everyone's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I would just like the desensitizing to go both ways.
Yeah,
right.
No, I agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, that's kind of my tiresome trope. Yeah, as well. It's just the angry. Here, it's Ray's motivation is just. It got to the point where I got to the end of the show and went. It's pretty paper thin, isn't it? Mm-hmm. For hundreds of years, this is enough reason
250.
Thank you. That this is enough reason for you to be this obsessive over your brother.
But
so much so that she killed everyone in the rebellion. She killed his girlfriend, but then oh no, she backed her up somewhere. Now you're gonna go searching for her for a million years.
But that was for leverage, though. The only reason she did that was so that in the future she'd be able to use that for leverage. This woman is a bitch. She is a complete and total
she's a sociopath.
Bitch. Yeah. And I mean,
I have no more water. I'm very sad.
I understand that the Yakuza bought her when she was a kid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Takeshi thought he was doing the right thing by joining the Protectorate to save her.
Right.
He had absolutely no, he was a kid. How was he supposed to know that?
Also, what a great fight scene between the two of them when he finds her.
Right?
I mean, that's awesome. Listen, the fights in this show are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the fight choreography in this is.
When she's
really
like
good.
Naked, her jumping out of all those things, and like, or Dick is like, oh god.
I mean, I'm not even gonna go, but
awesome.
like that whole scene was retarded too. Like,
yeah,
it was just.
I understood why she was naked. She's brand new, just getting born.
Yeah,
whatever.
but when
I sleep
your
in pajamas.
clones keep getting shot,
right,
aren't you going to eventually be like, okay, well, 6 of my clones are dead now. I've got like 7 or 8 left. I can either keep jumping out of these pods and keep attacking her in the hopes that she won't shoot one of them before they come out, or
she's gonna run out of bullets.
I can do that thing that I did with the kid first.
Oh, like open the door and then the kid's crying.
Yeah, because.
And then the kid takes her out.
Right, like it just seemed like a stupid plot device to me.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it was definitely it was one of those cases where it was like they got too excited about a sequence.
Right.
And then at some point the sequence lasts too long. Where you're
right.
All right, maybe you should have like cut to the chase of this, or like just.
It was style over substance. They were like, "Here's this really cool thing that we want to do," and they took it just one step too far to where it was like, "Okay, now it doesn't make any sense."
Yeah.
Now,
like 2 or 3 of them popping out. Sure.
Right.
Since you said 30 years later, he's still searching for her in the sequel or what in the second book or whatever. So at the end of this is my assumption of what happens. Tell me if you guys feel the same. Basically, the body he's in is going to become, Riker, the police officer in the body. Like he's going to go back to who he was.
Oh yeah. Riker's got,
So then is he going to be in some other random body, or is he going back into that Asian man's body?
I think they clearly hid that.
Yeah, they left that ambiguous. It could be a completely different body, or I guess we know that
Takeshi's actual body.
Well, no, it was the second body that we saw him, or it was the original body that we saw him in, but it was his
second body because he was a child and he went into that. Yeah.
No. So there was his original body, which was the child that he eventually then went back into. And then there was the sleeve that we saw him in the first episode when he met up with his original boss / partner guy when his partner was like real death. Oh, that was a different sleeve than the original.
Yeah, and that sleeve was with
that's the sleeve that Dimitri needled into in that stupid rhinoceros fight scene thing.
I kind of like the rhinoceros fight scene thing because it's.
I mean, I enjoyed it too, but it was dumb.
It's dumb, but I think it's the kind of stupid I can get it. Listen, I watch Japanese superhero shows where they fight weird things. That was clearly in my alley.
Yeah. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Tony said Josh was the opinion that male genitalia is not capable of being attractive. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's because I'm a dude.
That is into ladies.
But, that's just me. She also says that Altered Carbon is a letdown because I thought I signed on for a series that was going to explore the ethical, philosophical, and political ramifications of a world where death is flexible. I will agree with that.
Sure.
I will absolutely agree with that. I still enjoyed the series for what it was. However, like I said at the beginning, I was let down by how convoluted the ending was and how everything just turned out, because now it's just like, I feel like everything that was building up to was just like, well, now none of that matters anymore.
Yeah. No, I think the whole deal with the idea of...
Oh, yeah, that one. I forgot about that one.
The third one?
Yeah.
He played Ryu in the Street Fighter movie.
Yes.
That's right. He could... Yeah. And I also recognize Will Yun Lee as the as main...
Yeah, the one in the middle.
Yeah, one in the middle. I think, my thing with the show is like, once we got to the stuff with Rey, his sister, I think that's where it was starting to lose me. Because, when the show starts off, feeling like this is the mission statement of the sci-fi concept we're going to explore. I was like, okay, sure, I'll play with your world and I'll see how you're going to explain it to me and how you're going to explore that. But then by the time we introduced her, it became this other thing. And
Right. I mean, when they introduced her, I was like, oh man, she's alive. What's going on?
Right. No, at first
they revealed what happened. I was like,
oh. Yeah, you just didn't care.
Well, no, when they did the card of like, psych, I'm the bad guy of the story now, and I'm like,
but you kind of saw that coming.
Yeah. Like, why?
From a million miles away.
But it's like
maybe like you did this to all of them. Yeah, dude. I could have told you that.
It comes to a point where, like, that to me is like changing the show too, for in a way that I didn't ask. Yeah. Like, I was like, I signed up for the show that Tony thought too.
Right. Yeah. Like, I feel like that should have been the reveal in the finale.
Yeah.
Like, like if it had been if I don't know
her being the villain,
what everything else would have been, but if the season would have ended with finding out that she's the one that blew up the ship, and that she like all those flashbacks that had happened
instead of 3 more episodes.
Instead of 3 more episodes.
Yeah, again, the show should have only been 7 or 8 episodes.
Right. Like if she had allowed him to figure out what was going on, and for all that shit to go down, and to protect herself somehow from being caught, like maybe fake her death again.
Yeah. But
then she shows back up at the finale and reveals that she was the one that blew up his girlfriend in the ship and killed all the other envoys. Yeah. Now he has something to go on and fight for. It's kind of like you've seen Passengers, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen Passengers? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Actually, no, I haven't. That's that J-Law movie, right?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it. But I know the idea of it.
Okay, so that movie would have been better if they had changed the order of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know the concept of it, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so if they had changed it so that they show Chris Pratt, if they showed what happened with Jennifer Lawrence after Chris Pratt had already been awake for a year, up to the point where Jennifer Lawrence finds out what actually happened, and then go back and show what like Chris Pratt's story,
right?
It would have been a much better movie. And I feel like that's the same thing with this, where if the order of things had been switched around, it would have actually made a better show.
Yeah,
I can see that.
No, I can go behind that.
And then we have the daughter who I saw her.
Sorry, I just read Brian Thomas's comment here, and I thought he was trolling us.
Oh,
he's asking if any of us had watched The Alias previously. The J.J. Abrams show that Jennifer.
Oh, the old, that old show.
Yeah. But I read this as, have any of you guys watched a TV show at all?
Oh.
I was like, wait, what?
I
definitely
took the time to watch the show. But that's not what you're asking us, so we're no, it's fair. One season.
But yeah, no, I've not watched Alias.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. But I know what it is. The daughter who was having the baby and then no one knows what happened to her, the girl from Riverdale.
Right.
That's what she is. She's from Riverdale.
She is. I actually got excited going, hey, it's Val, right?
I thought her story was
That's why I watched Riverdale.
Was what?
Well, I thought her story was better too.
Then what?
I thought it was. I thought that better than the main plot line.
Oh yeah, I saw her storyline happening also a mile away. I was like, oh, she's gonna go through this. She's gonna now become super badass. Who knows?
Well, she's gonna get
and she's gonna end up saving the day at the end.
As soon as Poe started training her how to fight, I was like, okay,
that's where this is going. Yeah. Again, it just.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I didn't mind knowing that's where it's gonna go.
Because there's something being predictable doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad.
True.
Because
I agree with that.
I just saw Pacific Rim. Spoilers: the good guys win. But
it's the journey on how they get there. Right. It's the journey from beginning to how they get there is what has to be interesting.
Right.
And this just wasn't interesting.
I will argue that I didn't need her in the outfit she wore at the end of the show.
Right. She just wanted to feel super dominatrix-y badass. I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what else was available there.
I mean, she created her own outfit. Well, she created her own face, and then she was going through a closet. She had just to find whatever she needed.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah, but I mean, if the choice was between this and the random no cup bra thing,
right? This is the best option for her to be Janet Jackson, a la the Super Bowl.
I mean, let's face it. The choices on this floating brothel in the sky
are pretty limited.
It was probably more a touch of romance and less Gap.
Fair enough.
I would
a little more Fredericks of Hollywood. Less, less American Apparel.
Yeah.
A little more Hollywood Boulevard, less Burbank.
Maybe more like downtown Van Nuys.
Yeah.
These are very specific LA jokes, so if you're not following.
Anyway.
Just equate it to the skeezy part of your town.
Yeah. And then the upper class part.
And then the upper class part of your town.
For those of you from Tampa, more Dale Mabry.
Yeah.
Then Hyde Park. If you're from Orlando, more OBT and less I Drive.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't lived anywhere else, so.
You're fine. You got this.
Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Yeah.
Was the introduction of Head in the Clouds an episode? Was that fully in 9?
No. So we actually got like a super brief introduction to Head in the Clouds in the very first episode when Kovacs went to the Raven.
That's right.
And he was like, we have all these different things that are available. We even have this thing in the clouds. Mm-hmm. And at first, I thought when I saw that the Head in the Clouds thing was another thing, I was like, oh wait, so Poe is part of this now. I thought he was going to be a thing because he had revealed that in the first episode. Mm-hmm. But that never became a thing because he died.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Very sadly.
I
liked him. I thought he was a really
Which
good
one was that?
He was the AI.
The AI at the Raven.
Oh,
Edgar Allan Poe. That's why that's why Lizzie was calling him Eddie.
Yeah. I liked him.
I liked it because he's the only one of the character. He's the only character who is like legitimately the one who has a comic sense of humor.
I also agree with her. She's like, you're more human than any. Like when she told him.
Oh
that.
Sure, yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Which is why I also kind of liked
her.
Her storyline too was because she was becoming less human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this thing that they said at the end was that she chose to keep the synth sleeve because she didn't really know what she was.
Right.
Let's see how bummed me out.
I know. I was really sad. I was like, well, I like him.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they figure out how to bring him back.
This also made me
Mm-hmm.
super interested in how this technology actually works because since he's a hologram and he was just kind of like killing his like destroying his electrons.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, but he's just destroying the electrons of his body.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, his sad little hand.
So
I mean, clearly, Well, clearly when Kovacs at the end, Kovacs comes back to the hotel. He's getting his stuff. I'm going to assume he also found a way to get something Poe back.
Maybe we can hope.
It's not fine. I'm sure
it sucks. I mean, the other guy was definitely dead.
Basically, a soap opera.
Ortega's friend from the police force.
He died. Shot him in the stack.
Yeah.
That bummed me out.
Yeah, the other Joss Whedon actor.
Yeah,
but
Adam Bush.
This guy here. But like, I thought the end here was actually kind of like a fun moment when Takeshi is like going through his plan. He's building the 3D body. He's like, okay, this is what I have to do. I'm gonna double sleeve.
Yeah.
And everyone's coming, and then like everyone, the gang comes in,
right?
And they're like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And he's like, "No, you guys don't want to be a part of this."
Yeah.
And they're like,
another like bullshit trope.
They're like, no, fuck you. We're in.
Yeah.
I knew that was gonna happen.
Right.
Because like throughout the entire thing, he's like, I don't care. It's like, fuck you.
Spot on, Joel Kinnaman.
Right.
I kind of do. I mean, like, I haven't really watched I haven't seen the rest of you guys to talk about it. What are your overall feelings on Joel Kinnaman in the show?
I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
I think did you watch The Expanse?
No.
Mm-hmm. He reminds me a little bit of Stephen Strait, who in Sky High, he was War and Peace.
I love him.
Wait, who's in Sky High?
Have you seen? He's War and Peace.
And,
he's still acting? I didn't know that.
he was the main witch guy in the Covenant.
Yep.
And now he's the main guy in The Expanse.
Okay. Oh, now I'm gonna have to watch The Expanse.
And I don't
He was in
think
that like 2000 BC movie too.
Yeah. I don't think he's a great actor, but he's like a.
He does the job.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. He gets the job done.
Yeah, I felt
that's kind of how I feel about Joel Kinnaman too.
Same.
Like I don't think he's gonna win an Oscar for anything. Maybe he will eventually, or an Emmy or whatever.
This is a TV show.
But
that's right.
He's like any of these other guys from these CW shows where they're sufficient at their crafts.
Yeah, but the question is, do they write a character that was deep enough for him to go
right. Like it goes back to that first episode where he was pretending to be Riker when they went to fight Drome.
Right.
And Ortega was like, "Look angry." And he's like, "Yeah, I can do angry."
Yeah.
Like I was like,
I felt like that character alone could have been anyone, and they just kind of were like, "Who can do this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. I've seen him in 2 other things. I know he's really well regarded in The Killing.
Yeah, I've heard that's really good too. I've never seen it though.
I haven't seen it. I heard
watch The Following. I did not watch.
I've heard that's good too.
The first season's great,
and that's
where
Kevin Bacon, right?
That's Kevin Bacon. The first season's great. The second season not so much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's where what's his name? The guy, the Bancroft is from. He was the killer in that.
He was also
I'm gonna sneeze. I feel like.
Prince something or other in A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. He was a fake prince. He wasn't even a real prince.
No,
he was the actual king.
He was the actual king. Oh,
yeah.
You're
was
right.
a fake
JK,
knight.
Fake knight.
Yeah.
Fake knight.
That's what I was like. He was a fake something. Okay.
Yeah. He was pretending to be the Black Knight or whoever it was that he was, so that he could fight in the tournaments.
Yeah.
That's right. But like, so for me, like, here's my experience of Kinnaman has been The RoboCop remake.
Which I thought was
he
fine.
RoboCop?
He was RoboCop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was fine.
I did not like it.
I mean, I don't
know.
I can't say that I think it was
I could have seen it being
better
Alexander
than the
Skarsgård.
original.
Like they're the same.
But
No.
like it was like have you seen the new Total Recall?
Yes, I don't like that one either.
See, I felt the same way about Total Recall as I did RoboCop. Like I feel it was a fine movie, but the original exists.
That was
So
leaning.
or like Carrie, like the rebooted Carrie.
I didn't
with,
see
Chloe Grace
I didn't
Moretz.
see that one. Yeah.
It's a fine movie, but the original exists. So,
Right.
So like if the original RoboCop and the original Total Recall didn't exist, do you think you would have liked the new RoboCop and the new Total Recall better?
No.
Fair enough.
I don't think so, because I don't think they're good movies, period. And for me, Kinnaman was in the RoboCop remake, and I just didn't buy it. And
Read Tony's comment.
Which one?
Her last one about Joel Kinnaman.
Go back into the chat. Tony says, Joel Kinnaman is only hired to glare and be grumpy. He can do more, but he's not allowed to be charming. Therefore, I do not care for Joel Kinnaman.
Fair.
Yeah, that's the difference
So, wait,
between
wait.
him
So-
and Alexander
so
Skarsgård.
do you
I
not-
feel like they're the same.
Do you not care for Joel Kinnaman, or do you not care for the people that hire Joel Kinnaman and write his roles?
Because they do kind of stick him in some.
Yeah. It's
Thing.
like
Because the
typecasting.
difference between this character and Eric Northman is that Eric Northman is charming.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy is just
and that's,
grunts
exactly.
and glares.
That's why I didn't like Mute, was because like I felt like
He wasn't allowed to be charming.
yeah he was
He's so
like
charming.
he was just kind of dopey,
Yeah.
and I was like that's not.
And the other thing I know Kinnaman was in Suicide Squad. Which
Oh,
I also,
yeah, I
which I
forgot.
also hated him in that one. Actually, I thought he's the worst thing.
Really?
In Suicide Squad.
The worst thing in Suicide Squad?
I think he's one of the worst characters and the worst actors in the film.
Not Cara Delevingne?
That's where I was going.
She's a CGI creature. Kinnaman had to actually say lines.
He had to say lines.
Yeah, I got more bugged by him than Kiara. Don't get me wrong, I don't think she was amazing either. But I had more frustration with Kinnaman because I had to believe this guy could stand up to toe with Will Smith, and I didn't buy it for a second.
Fair enough.
I will agree with
Is he
that.
the one whose head blows up?
No,
that's Slingshot.
that was Adam Beach's character.
JK.
Yeah,
I think his name was Slingshot, but yeah, his
because originally the role was going to be Tom Hardy.
or not Slingshot.
Oh, it was?
I
Yeah,
remember.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy would have been much better. Like,
Oh no,
much better.
the purpose of the character was supposed to be he can stand toe to toe with these guys.
Right,
And I
right.
look at him and I'm like, you can barely stand. You look like you're constantly tired.
Yeah, but he also didn't look like his character was
Like
also
you're
like
constantly tired.
I again don't know whether it's him.
Yeah.
Or how his character was written and how
Right,
he was
and his
directed.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I can't.
That's like judging. Oh my god, I just forgot her name. She's in Annihilation right now.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. It's like judging Natalie Portman
Off
off
of
of Star Wars
Oh, of course,
versus
yeah.
everything else she's ever done. She's a fantastic actress,
Right,
but
yeah.
not in that.
Oh yeah, well it's like
And that's
judging.
not
It's
her
like
fault.
judging anyone off of the prequel trilogy.
Right,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
I
that's
mean, you look
not
at that,
her fault.
you're
That's
like,
the
oh, Ewan
writing and the
McGregor was horrible,
directing.
or oh, Liam Neeson, what the.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like Ewan got away with those movies pretty clean because he was still surprisingly enjoyable
Yeah,
in those.
I mean,
despite how bad
Sam
those
Jackson
movies
was Sam Jackson. in
Because he's
everything
still
he does.
naturally charming. He
Yeah.
couldn't turn that off.
And so my feeling with Kinnaman on this show, I was surprised to actually sort of be fine with him here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I
Yeah.
couldn't stand him in the other things I watched him in, and I'm like, oh, you're fine here. Like, it's like, oh, this is totally watchable. Like you guys said, he does the job.
Yeah.
And I don't roll my eyes when I see him on screen like I
Right.
did on the other performances. I'm like, okay, that works. That's totally.
Yeah.
Though I
yeah,
will
it
say,
was-
like, William Lee was way more interesting to me.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And that's why, like,
I- like
hopefully the
his-
next stack is him again.
That's
Yeah,
what I would like.
yeah,
I really
yeah.
hope
I would love to
that's
see
Yeah.
him back. The
I'm sorry, Sleeve. Yeah.
The-
Then, like, how
the-
many other flashbacks are we gonna get of his life? I'm like, oh, no,
Right.
it's like I would rather just see him. Stop flashing.
I wasn't a fan of his other sleeve, the first sleeve that we saw him in.
The first, the Ryu from Street Fighter.
Yeah, because like I mean granted we didn't really get to see him that much, but when Dimitri
Yeah.
was in his body and he was trying to do a Russian accent
Yeah.
and just failing at it, I was like, I don't like this guy.
That's fair.
But I mean that could be because they were trying to they were making him try and do a Russian accent. And he was just really bad at doing a Russian
Yeah.
accent.
It's like some people just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
you
hard.
said
Yeah.
it.
You sound
Accents are
racist
not
when I do
easy.
it.
No, I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah,
So-
I'll just sound like a gay German or a racist person trying to do an Indian accent.
We'll stop it from here,
Yeah,
so we won't
yeah.
push it.
Let's see what else. Tony also says I can't care about Joel Kinnaman if the people who hire him don't take full advantage of him and give me something to care about.
Sure.
That's fair.
He
Yeah.
literally has one moment in the show, the talk with Ortega in the hospital, where he's making a self-deprecating joke and smirking and actually being human.
No, no, fair.
I would agree, but also like in episode 10, Like when he starts talking to himself, like we start to see that kind of come through too. Like I feel like that was a thing all the way. It's almost like Henry Cavill in The Man of Steel, like where he was like the same guy, like where I don't feel like he turned into Superman until that very last 5 minutes where
this scene was great.
Yeah.
Oh well, actually,
yeah. Talking to himself. Yeah,
this is actually
he's talking to himself.
This is a good scene. Yeah.
He's like, okay, we're gonna rock paper and scissors to see who gets to go on the sex orgy trip and who gets to go on a suicide run.
Right.
No, I agree. This is actually this is where I kind of realized, like, oh, this is decent.
Yeah,
Kinnaman performed, and he's like acting himself, which is
but
not easy to do.
Not easy to do.
But at the same time, because this happened, like when he's allowing himself, when he's like, no, I'm gonna go down with the ship and like committing suicide with his sister because he had to kill his sister. I was like, this doesn't mean anything because he knows that his other sleeve is still out there having a wild orgy with Miriam.
Right. True. No. His only despair is the fact he's just accepting the fact that he had to kill his sister.
Right.
Yeah,
and that I feel was also when he was when they found his stack and they spun him back up in VR and they were talking with the sleeve that killed his sister and the sleeve that was in the sex orgy trip, and they were trying to decide which one they were going to keep.
Right.
That was interesting to me because I was like, okay, this is actually a good moral dilemma because do you allow yourself to live and want yourself to live knowing that you were forced to kill your sister, or knowing that you don't have to remember that? Do you say, okay, I'm going to let my other sleeve live because I would rather have the memory of having this wild sex party with Miriam Bancroft?
Right. No, and that's again where we feel like the possibilities of the show. That's where I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's where
exactly. I mean, and like Tony said, I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
And less of the other weird random shit.
And there's a lot of weird random.
Like the whole fight drum thing. Like that was completely unneeded.
No,
the only reason any of that was there was to bring the sister back and to reveal that she's still alive.
Right. Which again, I like the goofiness of it. I do like that. I saw Tony said Bebop and Rocksteady should not be in this thing. I saw actually wrote that in a comment. I totally understand that. But again, I watch Japanese children's shows in which they fight monsters made out of clay. So like
totally
my case.
I'm fine with it from a perspective of from the entertainment factor. Yeah. But not from we needed this in the story factor.
Oh no, it's true.
it had no purpose.
Yeah,
and that's I think that's my biggest complaint with shows like this, where if you look at something like Game of Thrones, which obviously all these shows are trying to emulate now, you know, like even Westworld, which I love, it's still trying to emulate what we get out of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
and what Game of Thrones does really well is the action drives the plot forward, not the other way around. It's not action for we're not getting plot for the sake of moving the action and getting these big fights, which is what Pacific Rim was.
Right.
Which is fine if that's what you're getting. But when you try and dig deeper than that, and you go, okay, we're gonna do these like really good, elaborate, like deep, thought-provoking pieces. You have to keep going. It needs to be consistent. And this show was just very inconsistent.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else. What else are we missing from this last episode? We know that Miriam is the reason, I guess, that any of this happened.
Yeah.
Because she kind of was the catalyst to all of it. With like the girl the daughter showing up, and she'd be like beats her up and kicks her in the stomach, kills her baby, and then
that's what allows Ray to use her for favor because she had called Ray in to hide all of that, and that's what got all this going. And again, convoluted because Ray's been around for 250 years. Why was this the moment that she was waiting for? Like, why couldn't she have gotten like with all this influence that she had built? Why wasn't she able to find another way to get Kovacs out?
It's funny because when you start actually saying that out loud, and it's like. It sounds cool when characters say I've been alive for 200 years.
It's constantly disappointing. I agree.
But when you actually start saying, "Oh, I've been alive for 200 years," then you start making dumb decisions because it works for the plot. Then you sort of have to reverse.
Sorry, I was reading because I just want to know.
Like you have to start reversing. I'm
used to having the chat with me.
Yeah,
like stretching over.
Yeah, I'm not used to not having the chat.
It's a point now where from the end of the episode we have to reverse engineer the entire series to figure out where everything was coming from.
Right.
And I feel like that was it was too much.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing was just so, again, convoluted.
Yeah.
That like it to me it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Like I think the series could have been fine if it had ended better. Like if
it had ended better.
I mean, a lot of movies end really poorly too, and that kind of ruins the movie. Where it's like, okay, well, the first 2/3 of the movie were great,
and then you
but then
like
you reveal,
Mama.
Yeah, but then we get this big reveal, and it's like, why was that the reveal?
It's like I always hear about, like, I forgot who said it, but like someone brought the fact, like, you can have okay act 1 and 2, but if your third act's actually really great, that could totally be fun.
You can even have
That's
a
how
bad
people think they like the new Star Wars movie, because the ending was great.
You get a
and
bad
then they forget how
act.
bad the first part of it was.
But like even going back to the I mean,
They get you that way. You forget the rest of it was terrible.
I really enjoyed The Last Jedi. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens. Last Jedi.
I like The Force Awakens.
I think The Last Jedi for me ranks right behind Empire. Like, I mean, it was. I thought it was really good.
Okay, I gotta be in this line. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I love it. I love The Last Jedi. I saw it like 3 times.
Okay, sorry. We're not the Star Wars show, but I'm gonna go on Star Wars thing for a minute.
We're gonna stick in
sci-fi. It fits.
It's like for me, like Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Like everyone complains. Okay, well, like Rey showed up there and she gives him a lightsaber and then he just throws it away. Why would Luke ever throw that lightsaber away? He's been hiding for fucking 15 years. What else was he going to do with it?
That has nothing to do. I have no problem.
But I mean, that's a lot of people's issues.
Oh, I know. I'm just like,
and they're like, Luke isn't my Luke. It's like, no, he's been in hiding for 15 years because he caused all of this chaos to happen.
Yeah.
Like for me, there was no other way for this movie to go.
Yeah.
And it fulfilled all that stuff. I do have slight issues with what was going on the ship. Like with
a lot of issues with that.
With what's her name?
We got a whole sideline all because of secrets.
Because of Poe and
just
Laura
tell people
Dern.
what's happening.
Yeah. Laura Dern's character and Poe and everything that was going on with that. Completely agree. All that. Use, I guess, the word of the episode again. Convoluted and didn't make any sense. There could have been a lot of better ways around that.
Secrets don't make friends.
But I thought the beginning was really strong. I thought all the stuff with Rey was great, and I thought the ending was fantastic. All the stuff with Laura Dern and Poe aside, it was great.
I think it started really well, and then in the middle you're like, "What is happening? This is dreadful," and then it ends really great. But you can't forget all of this hour and a half that was so bad.
I loved it. Sorry,
I thought it was good.
I'll die that hill. I know it's been a split hill. I get it, but I love it.
Yeah.
So
let's see what's the chat saying again.
I know, and I'll say hi to the other hill. I'm not
right?
Like, how you guys doing?
Agree. We will cross bridges. We will come together, and we will still enjoy our movie.
Yeah, and even right now, the bridge is. We're at the point with the bridge. We're at Altered Carbon Bridge, and the bridge is kind of great. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Could have been better.
Could have been better.
Been shorter.
Definitely should have been shorter.
Tony says that Miriam deserves to be the real villain or mastermind.
I think that would have been awesome.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
If Miriam had been the one, even if Miriam had been his sister. Like if the sister,
the whole time,
if Rey had dual sleeved,
was it for all those pesky kids?
Miriam, better show.
It's like this is the thing. Like I kind of cracked up.
Karma's a bitch. Sorry, that's what happened. Wouldn't that be great?
Yes, that would have actually been amazing.
You know what I'm talking about.
I totally know what you're talking about. Da, 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 da. Anyway.
And then it's actually okay.
Anyway,
I'm just gonna go back to my corner over here.
It's like. But there's 2 things in the movie in the show. Sorry, I gotta talk back. To the show. No, 2 things in the show that cracked me up a little bit is the idea that they had a weird take on the Agatha Christie scene, in which it's the parlor scene. Where it's like the detective explaining all the suspects around.
Right, yeah, it's the Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, or the Miss Marple.
Now that I've got you all gathered here together today, let me tell you exactly what happened.
It's specifically the Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot scene of just going okay, thankfully you're all in the same spot, so I'll just go ahead and explain who really did it. So I kind of thought it was sort of funny they did a twist on that.
Yeah,
but they did it twice now, didn't they? Like they did it in the middle where they did the fabricated version.
Right. There's the fake version with Prescott.
Right.
And then there was this real version at the end.
Right.
So now what's going to happen to Prescott? Because because that's my thing. Like they did this whole elaborate thing to set up Prescott.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, haha, just kidding.
Right. But wait, then is she fine? Is her career?
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, we know now from the last episode, she's like, I'm trying to be a better person. So does she really want that back now at this point?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No. Well, it's this weird thing because we're talking about the idea like the show kind of seems like it loses track of what it's trying to do, and the idea of the show does start off as like it's a murder mystery where the murder victim is hiring someone to figure this out.
Right.
And
it was a great premise.
It's a great premise, but yeah, once Ray starts getting involved and Ray gets into this whole backstory about their relationship and blah blah.
Like Tony says here, I just hate how Ray bringing back Tuck wasn't the entire point of the conspiracy. He was a crouton of opportunity.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Like we're fed one thing at the beginning of this. We think that the show is going to be a murder mystery, trying to figure out who actually killed Bancroft, and then by the end of it, we find out that it doesn't fucking matter who killed Bancroft because he wasn't the point.
Right.
Yeah, he's not the point.
Like he was a MacGuffin. It was red herring. It didn't matter.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden it's about this other thing, and then it's the case of like.
But then they still go back to like.
Yeah, it's like they remembered. Oh, right.
We gotta resolve this.
Yeah.
Not for real. And then they're like, okay, yeah, now real.
Right.
Like.
Right. But the only reason, I mean, to their credit though, they had to solve it so they could absolve Riker and get him out of.
They could have resolved. They could have absolved Riker without even doing that. All like their commissioner or like General Gordon, whatever he is,
Tanaka.
Their version could have just been like, "Nah, we framed him." That's all that had to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of ways out of this, and that clue moment was not necessary.
No. Ooh.
It was Tanaka.
It was Miriam in the office.
In the office with Kindle.
I'll tell you what, though. I would have enjoyed that a little bit more if we had Takeshi running around Bancroft's like whole thing saying, "All right, first," and then all the way over here, just with that stupid music playing as they're running around. And so it was Miriam Bancroft. In the study with the energy weapon. But not really.
But it was.
Oh my gosh.
It was just like I felt like the entire show was a build up to a ending that didn't hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't that satisfying.
Yeah.
When we got to the end.
Yeah, I felt like everything between episodes 3 and episodes 8 was fine. It was good. Mm-hmm. But then like the first 2 episodes were just too dense. Mm-hmm. And the last 2 episodes just made the whole thing not make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would also be fine if this show was 10 episodes and they were all 30 minutes.
There was nothing wrong with 30-minute eps. No. Yeah. No, you don't have no.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you noticed or not, but every episode was a different length.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Like, well, there was one episode that was like.
I was like 56 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 56. There was another one that I think was just over an hour, and then there was another one that was like 40
42
minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like I get it from.
I watched the one that was like 42 minutes. I was like, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. And I mean, on the one hand, I like that concept, like making an episode as long as it needs to be to tell the story that episode requires. Right. So if the episode needs to be an hour, make it an hour. If the episode needs to be 37 minutes, make it 37 minutes.
Yeah.
So I am kind of down with that. Like I did see some people complaining.
But then you just have to actually decide.
But yeah. Like
what's actually worth.
Right, because when you're going
editing
to build a
still
series,
needs to happen.
When you're going to build a series that's 10 episodes, that doesn't need any filler episodes like these network television 22 episode shows do. You don't need filler shit in the episodes.
No.
Like, take the filler stuff out of the episodes.
That's my problem with almost every Marvel Netflix show.
Yeah, there's still filler shit in there.
Yeah, for no reason.
No, by the time I get to Punisher, I finally just went. These shows going to be 13 minutes, 13 hours. Yeah. That's too long. You guys don't have enough story to fill 13 hours. That's why I have that's why the first Frank's in the Woods for 2 episodes or something. Right.
That. Like
that's why the first season of Walking Dead was so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like they need to do one of 2 different things. Either they need to cut down the amount of time, or they need to give us more story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have enough story, just accept the fact that
you don't have enough story.
Yeah. It's like 8 episodes.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like again, I was chatting briefly with Joe Malozzi. He's the EP from all the Stargate shows.
Oh,
okay.
And he was doing an AMA on Reddit just about stuff because they're trying to bring Stargate back, which I'm totally on board with.
I would be cool with that. Can we have Jason Momoa?
So I asked him because now moving the last show that he produced was Dark Matter. It was another sci-fi show, which I really enjoyed, but that got canceled after the 3rd season, I think.
It was on for 3 seasons?
Yeah.
I thought it ended sooner, so that's actually pretty cool.
It might have been 2 seasons. I don't remember. But so he was doing this AMA, and I was like, hey, so you're doing these 13 episodes, these 13 episode seasons now. when back in the day when you were doing Stargate, you had 22 to 26 episode seasons. Is it? I'd imagine it's easier to do a 13 episode season, but how is it going from having to do these 26 episode seasons where you're like, okay, I need 10 filler episodes,
right?
To being like, oh, I don't need any of that shit now. Like, is it harder to write the story because you're in that mindset where you're like, no, I need to fill in all these gaps? And he's like, I like it better.
Shorter seasons.
Because you have shorter seasons and you just have to get to the story. So if you're able to do that and you're able to do that well,
I wish more networks would fall into that and would do that. And also, can you imagine how many more great TV shows we'd get?
Oh, sure.
Well, I've always been on board with this because like even when I was a kid, I never understood the summer season when they were like, okay. Well,
and those were always short shows.
Right. But well, no, I mean, when I was a kid, they would just like repeat the entire season. They'd be okay, the season ends. Now we're gonna repeat the entire season, and when the finale of the season comes up, then we'll have a week off and we'll go back to the other season again. I was like, why don't they just make different shows for the summer?
And then they started doing that.
Now they're starting to do that, but now I'm on board with a 3-month cycle. Like, give us 3 months of one show. 3 months of another show, go back, do 3 months of that other show, so we're constantly going back and forth.
But that's almost what they do now, though.
Almost, but now we're getting into this like Game of Thrones and Westworld thing where we're getting like a year between.
That was happening before that. That was how Dexter was. That's how True Blood was. Right. There were once a year shows and 13 episodes.
Oh yeah.
But like what you're saying,
like, but then like we had like random shit like Mad Men and Breaking Bad, where okay, we're gonna show you the first half of season 5, and then it's gonna be 7 months before we show you the second half.
Oh, I was like,
what?
Right. Well, that was gonna be my question to you. Would you what you're saying like episode new show like back to that show? Would you want it to be a season and like this whole story wraps up in that fall season?
I want to see story arcs. So like, give me one or two story arcs.
Between what you're saying versus what they're doing now?
More new content.
So like, would that be a 13 episode season that wraps up, new show starts, and then the next season starts in the spring?
Yeah.
So you're talking two seasons a year.
Right, exactly. Kind of like when Heroes was a thing. You know, they would have chapter 1, and then the second half of the season would be chapter 2.
I do remember.
But it's still one season.
Technically. But like the first season of Heroes, which by far was the best and the only good season of the show.
Yeah.
Writer's strike.
I know.
The second half of the first season could have been a separate.
I support you.
It could have been a separate season all by itself. Because at the end of that first half, Peter blows up.
Yeah.
He's flying off with his brother.
Right, but that's just like a winter finale. That's what
right,
they do
now. But that could have been a season finale too.
Yeah.
So if you give us a break and go and show us like a completely different show and then come back and give us the second half. Like you can look at it as one season that's just split in half by 3 months. Like it doesn't really matter because there is a winter finale for a lot of shows that can act as a season finale.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like networks I guess Netflix really isn't a network, but they've kind of gotten people more accustomed to the once a year show. On top of like HBO with like even Ballers is a once a year show, like Westworld, all that. I think if the major cable networks fell into that and just did once a year shows, people would still watch them and come back to them and they'd be better.
Yeah. I mean, they could even get, but I mean, I guess technically that would be the same thing too. Just give us multiple once a year shows that when that show ends, maybe take a couple of weeks off, like show us like some specials or whatever, and then come back and with another show.
Well, like CW has iZombie. That's their mid-season.
That's a mid-season show.
And they only get 13 episodes
Agents
once a year.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. is now a mid-season show.
Yeah. Riverdale season 1 was.
That started as a mid-season show.
I know
Black Lightning is a mid-season show.
Yeah. But I'm sure Black Lightning's going to bump into a full.
Probably.
By fall,
But I think it would just be way better to.
Well, like with Riverdale, like I'm still into the show this season, but I loved
the first season.
Perfect 12.
The first season was really good. I've been watching. Like I've watched like 2 episodes of the season.
And that was my worry when they got into season 2. Is like going, can you maintain this for that twice the amount?
Right.
And
it's still fun, but it's not quite as magical.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Let's go to the chat. I think we're kind of done with the Altered Carbon conversation.
Oh yeah. Well, now we're talking about how to like make it better.
Yeah, we've moved on beyond that. That's fine. But it's almost time for us to go.
We're telling television how to do better.
Be better.
No, I mean, honestly, like this is so. For those of you guys who are still watching, I'm working on trying to build a show similar to what like this conversation was for Pop Culture Renegades, where it's just like kind of like what After Dark is. Like, but it's just like us talking about this kind of stuff.
The stuff we care about.
Yeah, right. Because obviously now that Altered Carbon's over, I know Ryan asked if we were going to be doing another Netflix series. I believe we're going to be doing...
I would love to do the second season of the OA when that comes out. Can I just put my hat in the ring for that?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
We're gonna do,
nominated.
I think we're going to do Lost in Space. But what we've discovered doing this show is that 5 weeks after the show drops on Netflix,
no one cares.
It's kind of irrelevant. So we're trying to figure out a better way of doing it so that we can give you a review of all the episodes in like the first week that it comes out.
Oh, that's fun.
That way it's all up, or maybe over the course of 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So that's all there. I don't know how
it might be really hard for someone like us. We're doing the finale episode to
exactly
get through it all.
So we're trying to figure out how to do that because
I have a lot of other television.
The sooner we're able to get this to you guys, the better it's going to be. But yeah, so I think Lost in Space is going to be a thing, and then we've got Westworld that's going to be starting up at the end of April. So that's an HBO show. That's not Netflix. We've got Legion that's going to be starting up at the beginning of April.
It's my dance for Legion because I think that show is so good.
What else do we have coming up? Doctor Who is going to come up, but that's not going to be for like months yet. But something special that I'm doing for Westworld is going to be fun.
Okay.
Still trying to figure out who's going to be on it. But I'm writing a Dungeons and Dragons style campaign that takes place in Westworld.
Oh, that's fun!
So
I like it.
So we're gonna have two.
Welcome to me.
two lead up episodes.
Like a full dose.
two lead up episodes to the beginning of Westworld. The first one's going to be this Dungeons and Dragons Westworld role-playing game thing, which is probably going to be like a 2.5 hour, maybe a 3 hour stream. And then the week before Westworld starts, it's going to be a recap of season 1.
Okay.
And then we'll get into actual Westworld.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
That'll be fun. I'm still trying to figure out who's going to DM.
And that was a good show that kept you going. I did not guess who William was until they wanted you to. Like, I'm sure other people figured it out, but I thought they did a really good job at like not following the predictable trope where some things were, and they left the little nuggets for you, like the freaking door. Like, what door?
Yeah.
See, I did.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what this show needed. This is how Altered Carbon failed.
I did the same thing with Westworld with the Men in Black,
so good.
as I did with like Star Trek Discovery, because like there were a lot of that. There was a lot of that. Oh, who is this character? Like, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? With Star Trek Discovery and with Westworld, I was like, like everyone was like,
Will Robinson.
Well, William's the Man in Black. I was like, no, he's not the Man in Black. There's no way he's the Man in Black. No, William's the Man. No. and then as we got closer,
it was so good.
As we got closer and closer to the season finale, I was like, all right, well, maybe he is the Man in Black. Yeah. Maybe. All right. Yeah, I think he's the Man.
Okay. They just did such a good job, and that's, I think, where this show faltered a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because, like we said, like being predictable, there's nothing wrong with it if they do it well.
Yeah.
Right.
That did it well. Yeah, Westworld
did it well.
Yeah. But that's also the reason that, like, again, I don't like. I know people are all about like these like comic book movie spoilers. I don't give a shit. Like, I've read the comics.
Right.
I've seen the cartoons. I've read the wiki pages for all these comic book characters. Like,
I get it.
I know the information. I know what happens in Infinity War. I know what happened in at least the comic book version of Civil War.
Yeah.
I understand that things are going to be different for the movie because it's a movie.
Yeah, and it's a whole different world.
Right, but if I know how the comic book ends, chances are the movie is going to be close.
Yeah.
And just it being that close, I'm going to when I start watching the movie, I'm going to be able to predict what happens. I might not be able to be like, oh, well, this is exactly where it's going to go from scene to scene. But even if I know, it doesn't matter because it's watching how they get from point A to point B, or seeing how they recreate this world on screen from what I saw in the comic books.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Whereas movies like The Sixth Sense, where if you know how the movie ends, it completely fucks the entire movie over. Those are the kind of spoilers that I don't like.
Yeah, same.
I got spoiled on the end of the Sixth Sense.
It sucks.
What?
It was a magazine. They did not do a proper. This is back in 1998. They did not do a proper warning. This is a spoiler. So I read that and I'm like, oh, come on. So I did watch it. I thought it's great, but I'm like, That's what it blew my mind.
I mean, I guess the thing is, like, it does, like, knowing how the movie ends doesn't necessarily ruin the movie for you.
But you know, like,
it changes your viewing experience
of watching the movie. Yeah,
because it's like
you see how everyone doesn't actually look at him. Right.
Yeah. Now you're going to see all these things that you didn't see the first time.
Yeah,
where you're like, oh
like
man,
the color red is so significant in that movie.
And it's like watching it. It's like, well, would I have noticed these things if I didn't know that?
The answer is no.
No, and that's the thing
nobody did.
And that's what bummed me. And I could still enjoy the movie as is, but yeah, you're right. That's part of
the experience.
The experience of watching it the first time, and then the re-watching it is to re-experience. It's like, oh, they were there. As of now that I knew the ending, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. How I didn't. It's like it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I still thought. I mean, I liked it, so fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, Black Panther, knowing how that ended. Would have affected how I felt about the movie.
Yeah. There are things they did differently that I'm like, oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Knowing what happened at the end of that would not have ruined the experience of the movie.
Sure.
Because it's not like this major twist where
you're
like, oh,
if you know the end of Shutter Island, if someone tells you the end of that movie, it ruins the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know.
No, I think there's a certain kind of expectation to the genre you're watching, right? Yeah. Like if you're watching a superhero movie, the answer is, hey, shock, he's gonna win.
You know? It's like what I said about
she's gonna win. Yeah,
exactly. Like if you're watching a movie about the good guy going up, if the good guy loses, that's going to be a surprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the good guy's winning, you kind of see that going in.
No, for sure.
It's just the how.
It's the how.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, like, something like, say, this first season of Daredevil on Netflix was like, I don't know. Did you guys watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen all of them except for the second half of Luke Cage.
Okay.
And I haven't seen Punisher yet.
Okay. So like the thing with the first season of Daredevil, I watched it and I realized, like, okay, Daredevil is in the world of the trying to match up to Game of Thrones-ish type level of adult violence. But like I said, it's a superhero show. So at the end of the day, Matt's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're not worried about Matt Murdock.
Right. Because we're not getting a Daredevil season 2 or the Defenders if Matt Murdock dies.
Right.
Exactly.
And we knew that the Defenders was coming. So spoiler alert, he lives.
He'll live.
He lives.
But the question is, so where does the drama unfold on that show? And the answer is the supporting cast.
With his friends, yeah.
Yeah, so now they're up for grabs. So the question is, who may or may not survive the season?
And that's something. That's actually something that I enjoy about British TV shows.
Yeah.
Is like if you watch, did you ever watch Primeval?
No.
So Primeval, it was an okay show.
Yeah, I remember.
But you know, it's like the standard British like sci-fi type thing. But watching that, like they were not afraid to kill off main characters.
Yeah.
Like you know, like halfway through the season, someone dies. I'm like, wait, but they were like the main, they were like one of the 3 main characters of the show.
I mean, like when they kill Matthew off of Downton Abbey, and you're just like, what?
Sure.
Well, no, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I've never watched it, so I don't.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to what you're saying.
Right.
That's why I said sure. I'll take your word for it.
Well, no, like he's the love interest of like one of the main girls. They've been will they won't they for 3 seasons. They finally get together, and then he dies in a car crash.
Yeah.
And the show goes on for 2 more seasons.
Right.
And you're just like.
I was surprised you brought like, oh yeah, I guess that's a good one to bring up, but this is a completely different world.
BBC.
That's true. Fair.
BBC.
Anyway, let's go through the last of the comments here.
Also, he's Legion.
That's right.
Oh, that was Dan Stevens?
Yeah. That's how I met Dan Stevens and fell in love with him.
Let's see. Going back to Tony, Ray had the resources to get
Nailed it.
The whole thing that matters is prosecuting murders via respun stacks, but that's just drop dialogue rather than explored through a full TV series. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. They a show on Netflix called Heist. I don't think I'm gonna watch that. Riverdale gets better at like 13 season.
Riverdale better get like 13 seasons.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Will they be like what? Like how old would they be in that?
I'm not sure how I feel about Lost in Space. Have you guys seen anything about it?
I just saw the teaser.
Or Amazon. It's gonna be on Amazon.
Oh no, Netflix.
Oh okay.
No, it's Netflix.
Is it Netflix?
It's Netflix. Yeah.
That show's so old. I feel like it's touchable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, and then I realized like how long has it been since the movie? And I realized like
It's
god,
been, like,
20 years.
Yeah. Some things are touchable, guys.
Yeah. I'm not saying listen, you can do it better That movie was 1998. It was terrible. So you can't do it again. But I'm like oh, I guess 20 years is long enough to do it.
Yeah, like we're getting a Highlander movie. Thank you. The original one doesn't hold up.
Right? Like,
but it's real good.
Lost in Space again.
I 100% agree on that. I love it. It could be better.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Can we also get a Highlander TV show again?
How do you feel? I don't think this is a thing anymore. But how do you feel about the fact that
we'll have the whole thing where this dude was a Highlander, but they couldn't know. Like, how did not feel him? Anyway.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. We got two different.
Yeah,
so, I was talking about Adrian Paul.
Yeah, I was saying, like, if we could get the Highlander show and we could do a better job of being like, Christopher, whatever his name was, is a Highlander but doesn't know, but they all didn't feel him until like the 6th season. You know, like I was like, we could do a better job of that.
Yeah, but then from the series we got Highlander Endgame, and then after Highlander Endgame we got Highlander the Source.
I just want a McLeod in my life.
Highlander the Source was so bad.
It was really bad. I couldn't.
I will take Connor or I will take Duncan, and can I please have cameos?
Yes, actually, yeah, 100%. I better see Lambert in this thing.
Like,
I better say. And as for you were mentioning, like Ryan
Reynolds was originally
not into that.
Yeah, Highlander.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't like Ryan Gosling. Maybe
cast an actual Scottish actor. Try
right?
that on for size.
Oh,
Highlander, where a Frenchman plays a Scotsman and a Scotsman plays an Egyptian Spaniard.
I don't know what he's done recently, but what about Kevin McKidd?
Who's that?
He might be. I don't know how old he is now.
Face.
He was
in Rome.
I think he was in Rome. He was in Journeyman. He was the lead guy in that. He was the Poseidon in Percy Jackson. He was Percy Jackson's dad.
Is that like there it is?
Oh yeah, he's from Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, there it is.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
He's a ginger.
Yeah.
Real pale.
Maybe Kevin.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta make sure.
He's got to be like mid-40s now, though.
Yeah,
so he might be a little bit too old.
Like he can play a Highlander.
Maybe
Highlander.
Maybe he can be Sean Connery.
Hold that.
Maybe he can be. No.
I gotta make sure.
No.
I mean, Sean Connery can't be Sean Connery.
You know my choice? Banderas.
Reynolds?
Antonio Banderas.
Yes!
Antonio Banderas.
Sure.
Yeah, that's him.
He's in Grey's Anatomy. Thank you.
He can play like a brother McLeod.
Maybe.
You can actually see him in Toluca Lake at this Irish pub restaurant, and he like plays with a band.
Interesting.
I'm totally not kidding. I've seen it. I walked in, I was like, Dr. Hunt. And it was the whole thing.
All right. Well, let's plug shit again, Sarah.
Okay. Hi.
Let's give social media one more time and where we can see you throughout.
So that I remember all of them this time.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah. You can find me on all social media at Rogue-tastic. It's like Rogue and Fantastic put together, like the X-Man, not the blush. I also do Riverdale, Gingerdale on Wednesdays. Bibbidi Bobbidi News comes out every Friday, and hopefully the next show we do here.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find something else for you.
We'll squeeze you in.
I don't even know what I'm doing next.
Okay, you find me on Twitter at Justin Keys on, Instagram at Justin Quiz. I already plugged my 2 podcasts, so that's fine. I'm not gonna mention that again. I actually forgot to mention I do a webcomic that I co-write. Called Shining Yusha, which is again it's highly inspired by the Japanese superhero stuff. I also, if you forgot already, I also host Henshin Hangout. I'm on that show quite a bit, talking about literally the same thing, Japanese superhero stuff. So actually doing this show means I branched out finally.
That's what our goal was.
Hello and welcome.
So I'm good.
And again, you can find me on the Twitter at the Goldman. If you use that Barrow thing, I'm on there too. But like, I logged in once, and that was about it.
I don't actually use it. I just did it so no one could take my name.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take it.
I post one photo. You're welcome.
Yeah, I like the layout, but it's just yet another social network
that I don't feel the need to learn.
I'm there.
And also, he's apparently a very terrible human being. He doesn't play his employees.
Can I be honest? I'm trying to get out of it. I can't log back in. I forgot my password. Oh. That's a whole other thing. So
so you can find me there. Again, sometime in the next couple of weeks, you will see my 5 for 5 for Pacific Rim Uprising.
Yeah.
And my review on the website. The next show you can see me on, that next actual show you can see me on will probably be Legion. Yes. I'll be doing if we can find some Star Trek people at WonderCon, I'll probably be doing some interviews there. And Throwback Thursdays is coming back, and I'm going to be doing that with a couple of folks. I think Kevin and Tony, maybe you, and a couple of other guys. I think we're going to plan to launch that with Ready Player One. Since that movie is all about nostalgia,
yes.
what better time to do a Throwback Thursday than
with Ready Player One? I'm into it.
So
I'm almost done with that book. My audiobook freaking
ran
out.
It. Like
it
ran
I got it, but I had like 2 more hours left to listen. I was like, ugh.
So I got the book in a loot crate. But when I saw the book, I was like, oh, let me see what's coming about. Let me see what the deal with this book is. Ready Player One, option for movie. I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna. Because like I've made the mistake several times of reading books that I knew were going to be turned into movies, and then I would see the movie. I like this movie fucking sucks.
Because you're disappointed.
Because I'm disappointed by what they did. So now
read the book after.
Yeah. So now I watch the movie and then read the book. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do with this, or I'll listen to the audio book.
I've only ever seen one movie that was better than the book.
Which one?
The Notebook. I'm not even kidding. Like that book is dreadful.
All right. But before we log out, biggest disappointment book to movie.
Oh, Harry Potter, the 3rd one.
Never read
and
the
Prisoner
book,
of Azkaban.
Oh, skip me for a second.
All right.
I got
that. Michael Crichton's Sphere.
Oh, interesting.
I heard that was being turned into a movie, so I read the book. The book was fucking amazing. The movie was garbage.
Wow, I can't really think of. I'll tell you one that I changed my mind. I loved it in the movie. Then I read the book, didn't like it.
Okay.
Then I changed my mind and accepted the movie as its own. And it's a weird one.
Okay.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, interesting. Well, which version of the movie?
Gene Wilder.
Okay.
That
was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
Then I read the book.
I agree with that. And the book is completely different.
And I'm like, you ruined the movie. The book ruined the movie. Ruined the book. Blah blah blah. Then I watched it again later. What am I talking about? The book movie's great on its own thing.
Yeah.
So that's one I like flip flop.
Interesting.
I will agree with that because after I read the book, I was like, this isn't.
Tony, I'm compiling a list.
When did this happen in the movie? Go back and watch the movie again. It's like, that never happened.
No. Then I watched the movie again. What are you talking about? It's Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
This movie's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, Gene Wilder. I like Haunted Honeymoon. I can like this.
Yeah, exactly.
All the X-Men movies.
If you guys,
that's Tony's answer.
If you guys want to watch something that Gene Wilder was in,
3 will pretend doesn't happen.
I'll 100%. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Haunted Honeymoon with Gene Wilder and Rita? His
wife. Oh no, Rita Ora.
No,
that's an actress. That's a singer now.
No.
Gilda
Radner.
Oh, there it is.
Gilda Radner. Yeah. So Haunted Honeymoon, Gilda Radner, Gene Wilder, Dom DeLuise, and like all these other guys. It's basically a radio play that's now turned into a movie.
That's
like the beginning of it was like they were all radio actors and Gilda Radner and Gene Wilder are going off and getting married, and bad things happen on their honeymoon.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
Interesting.
Awesome. I'm gonna spit. Anyway,
it's fine. It happens.
I will see you guys next time, whatever that happens to be, and bye.
Goodbye.
Keep waving.